Hey guys, this is my review of the Razer Orbweaver Chroma, a gaming keypad from Razer, from the perspective of a temporarily one-handed gamer. For the past year, I've been dealing with an injury to my right wrist called a TFCC tear. About 6 weeks ago now, it unfortunately came to a head, and I needed to start a short-term disability from work due to not being able to do basic things like use a mouse without pain or risk of further injury. I scheduled surgery for about a month later and found myself with some time to kill. After a rewatch of Game of Thrones and catching up on some movies, I needed something else to do. I started looking up one-handed keyboards and controllers, trying to see if something like that even existed yet to try to get me back into some games. I found this one to look like one of the most fully featured, and I placed the order. At that time, I got it from Best Buy for $130, but it's now available for $99 on sale. The Razer Orbweaver Chroma is a gaming keypad with 30 programmable buttons and an ergonomic fit and finish. It's got the classic Razer lighting and clicky switches, and great build quality that feels sturdy and durable. The thumb pad needs a note here because you think it would work like a thumbstick on a controller, but it's actually 8 buttons actuated by pushing in the desired direction. I'll come right back to this. To configure the gamepad, you're using Razer's Synapse software, but not the latest version, which feels off. Regardless, it's super easy to configure the keys and lighting, and it even offers profiles and macro options. The one thing I feel that it's lacking, and this might be a tall order, but mouse movement support for the thumbstick would be game-changing for a device like this, enabling camera controls for games like The Witcher 3 that don't allow you to map camera movement to buttons. The main game I've been actually playing over my leave is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I have it running in CMU emulator, and the experience has been perfect, like way more than I could have asked for at this time. CMU allows you to map every button for the Wii U controller to a button on the keypad, even camera movement with the right thumbstick. After playing around with it in the overworld, I came up with a scheme of look with the thumbstick, jump with space, and attack with the top button, ESDF for running, and my pinky for lock on and shield and arrows. The only problem I ran into was wanting to lock on and use arrows at the same time, but I solved this with a macro to hold the button, then unlock when the normal button's pressed again. I was able to play through 70 hours comfortably and without much frustration when versing tougher enemies like Lynels and Guardians. I completed a good amount of the game, even all the way up to the fight with Ganon. The whole experience was honestly unbelievable and is a huge showcase of how PC gaming just rules when everything comes together and works just right. Other games I eventually dabbled with were Hollow Knight and Rocket League. These are great examples of games that let you map every control, even camera in Rocket League's example. Hollow Knight was the simplest to set up, movement was done with thumbstick, and then jump, attack, and cast down on just buttons. Rocket League was a little awkward at first as it separates camera movement and car steering. A lot of the time I played with the ball lock on anyway, so it wasn't much trouble. I mapped accelerate to W, turn to left and right to the thumbstick, jump to E, and basically everything else as normal. And I was able to only play a little bit worse than my average, which is already pretty bad. Although I didn't spend much time with them after Breath of the Wild was configured, Dolphin for Gamecube maps basically the same way as CMU, so your classics like Metroid Prime, Wind Waker, and Mario Sunshine could all be played through with just one hand and some patience. I want to go back to the idea of mapping mouse movement to the thumbstick again just to emphasize how useful it would be to opening up the library of games you can play only with one hand. Even first-person shooters like Borderlands could be possible with some patience and setting the sensitivity correctly. I just see this as a missed opportunity and hope that it's something that's updated in the future. Honestly, I think this device deserves more visibility as an accessibility tool. I'm super fortunate that my right arm and wrist is only disabled temporarily, and I can't help but think of those who don't have use of their hand or arm at all, and the limitations gaming may have for them. Something like this definitely opens some doors if shown and configured correctly. Although the dream would have been to have a left-handed Razer Naga, the only ones I could find at the time of this cost around $500 on eBay, which could be worth it to the right person, but ultimately Razer should still be making them. The Razer Orbweaver Chroma is typically shown off as a supplemental device to your usual keyboard and mouse setup, but because of the software and with a little tinkering, it can be a lot more and allows some people to play some games who may have not been able to in the first place. I just want to thank Razer, obviously, for coming up with something like this, but not taking it off the market yet in time for me to find it, see how cool it is, and recommend it to you, especially if you're temporarily or permanently only using your left hand to play games. Everyone, thanks for watching this video. If you or anyone you know has a similar experience like this, please leave a comment because I'd love to read them. Also hit subscribe to the channel because I'm coming back with a lot more content starting right now. I'll see you in the next one.